The 13F, what to most people seems like a boring SEC form, is one of the most important documents in finance. A quarterly report that is required to be filed by all institutional managers with over $100 million in assets under management. This document discloses equity holdings and provides us, the common man, insight into what the smart money is doing in the market. The most recent round of 13Fs showcased some truly bizarre moves by Scion Asset Management CEO Michael Big Short Burry. His bets on hyperinflation, technology, and electric cars were unveiled, and everyone has questions, whose answers may reveal the troubling future of the United States economy. Dr. Burry's firm was incredibly busy over the last quarter, as just 8 of the 23 positions that they held as of December 31st, 2020 were still on the books today, suggesting a huge turnover in positions. Starting with Burry's new positions, we find quite a few surprises, beginning with a massive put position in Tesla, where Burry and his team purchased puts covering some 800,000 Tesla shares, which have an equivalent value of just over $530 million, making that the biggest position equivalent to 40% of his entire portfolio in nominal terms. As you will see later, this reveal isn't actually the biggest surprise. Considering Tesla hasn't exactly had the best of quarters, this specific bet has surely paid off in a massive way. Adam McKay might be calling him for a sequel very soon, considering that Tesla has declined since the start of 2021 by 20% and seems to be in a continued freefall. Unfortunately, because we can only infer information about Burry's thoughts using his positions revealed in the 13F, we will probably never know Burry's reasoning behind the Big Short unless he chooses to disclose it publicly, or maybe we're blessed with another movie. This Tesla bet jumps out to me specifically considering the rest of the portfolio is extremely bullish on other big high-flying tech names. Scion also owns $160 million in call premium, equivalent to 80,000 shares of Google, or Alphabet as they're officially known, and 550,000 shares of Facebook, suggesting that while he's bearish on the electric car maker, he's extremely bullish on FANG giants. But all of this is not the reason you clicked on the video. If you remember back in February, Dr. Michael Burry had some shocking tweets, basically saying that the United States was headed down a path towards hyperinflation. He literally told us that the US will soon resemble the Weimar Republic, the infamous German state that devalued its currency to essentially zero, starving its citizens of all their savings and ruining a thriving economy. Apparently, the SEC got involved and Burry was supposedly told to delete his Twitter and to stop inciting market panic. But did he put his money where his mouth is? If he was warning us about the incoming inflation wave, how did he prepare to profit from it? What were his positions? Well, it's no surprise that he put nearly $241 million at work trying to position his firm for a surge in inflation by purchasing various puts and calls on some interesting financial instruments. I wasn't going to bore you with the details, but considering the fact that I'm likely going to copy his exact moves, I've changed my mind. I'm going to bore you with the details, going over each one of his so-called hyperinflation positions, specifically 5 different moves that will surely pay off the same way that his housing bet paid off in 2008. So here we go. The first is the biggest portion, representing $171 million, a put on the TLT 20+ year TSY bond ETF. This may sound extremely complicated, but the reasoning and the move itself are pretty simple to anyone with exposure to options or ETFs in general. What Burry is doing here is betting that the iShares 20-year Treasury bond ETF is going to go down in price. This financial product is meant to give people exposure to long-term US Treasury bonds, and if you paid attention to your finance class, you would know that when interest rates rise, bond prices fall. So in essence, Burry is betting that inflation will get so bad that the Federal Reserve will be forced to raise interest rates. This will in turn cause bond prices to collapse and his put positions to profit. In its most simple form, Scion Capital is betting that the interest rates will rise. Now the second portion of his inflation bet. This part is actually made up of 4 different positions, but to make things a little more simple and to cut down on time, I will group all these into what I call the call portion of his inflation bet. For an example, the TTT, which is a leverage product that seeks to replicate the inverse minus 3x daily performance of the ICE US Treasury 20+ year bond index. Now that sounds like rocket science, but in simple terms, this ETF is an extremely leveraged product that will go up in price significantly if interest rates rise. The same could be said with the other 3 positions I talked about earlier. The differences are rather minor. But the problem with these is that they're leveraged ETFs. We're told as retail investors that these products are not created to be held more than one trading day. So what is Burry and Scion Capital doing betting millions in long-term positions on these products? To make matters worse, they're derivatives or option positions on these ETFs, which are essentially derivatives themselves. This is taking an extremely risky product, then multiplying that risk by buying options on it. It seems to me that under normal circumstances, a move like this would end up on the front page of Wall Street Bets. It's gambling on steroids. But given the nature of his tweets in February, it seems to me that Burry strongly believes that the Fed will be forced to move interest rates up, and might be why he's risking a significant amount of his portfolio into options on leveraged bond ETFs. This 13F filing is a clue right to everyone's face, and I'm not sure why it's not getting more attention. Burry has been right about the housing market, about GameStop, about Tesla, and I'm not one to think that he will be wrong about this. Look around, inflation is eating away the standard of living everywhere, and if Jerome Powell expects to save America from a situation like Venezuela or Argentina or Lebanon, there's only one thing left to do. His tool belt is pretty limited, and if he chooses to save the country, well, me, you, and Michael Burry will make lots of money, because I too have bought significant amounts of calls on the TBT. So if you're joining along, please make sure you do further research. The last thing I want is someone pouring their life savings into short-term options on thinly traded inverse and leveraged ETFs. If that's not gambling on steroids, then I don't know what is. My reasoning is relatively simple. Referencing Burry's tweets from February, you can find a ton of info on his rather apocalyptic line of thinking that got him on the SEC radar. His tweets are now all deleted, including his account, but there is a great website that archived all of them for our viewing pleasure and research. I will link that site in the description below, and you guys can dig through some of his thoughts, now explained by his massive positions that were revealed in his 13F. Thank you guys for watching, and please make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're enjoying my content.